Hey, Michael.
Hey, Will, how are you?
I am fantastic, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Well, thanks for being on today. We're very, very happy to have you.
Sure. So right now I'm working as a consultant and educator at a hospital, and I've been able to help hundreds of clients and hundreds of mental health professionals. And I designed a program to be able to help mental health professionals work with very challenging clients because my expertise is in personality disorder. So
Yep. And a very serious, obviously, issue that is a specialized field. A lot of people just ignore it and don't pay much attention to that area. But my sister's in the mental health field, as is my mom, and I dabbled in it early on in my life, so I'm very familiar with all that. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that disorder?
sure. So what happened was in my early 20s, I went to school in psychology. I think you have an undergrad in psychology too.
I do indeed, yes.
Yeah. And so I drifted around and I traveled and I lived in Japan and I lived in Vancouver and I was just kind of, I don't know, just trying to find my way. And then in my early 30s, I decided to go back to school and I trained to help people with physical injuries. But my practice got so strong that I ended up injuring both my arms, had to close it down, had to pivot, reinvent myself. So in my early 40s, I went back to school again, got my master's in social work, and finally I found a mission that felt like it resonated with me. So for the last 7 years, I've been working at the hospital and helping people and contributing in a meaningful way to me. So it resonates with my values and how I want to treat people. And so now I'm doing the same thing. I feel like every 10 years is like, each year is like a level. And in my early 50s now, I'm launching an online course and I'm going after another sort of big boss, if you're thinking of a video game, which is trying to help people on a larger scale in an online way. So that's been a bit of my journey here.
I love that, and thank you for gamifying your journey there. Yep, life is levels, different levels, and right, you hit certain bosses or certain obstacles that seem, and that's that kind of come to Jesus moment, or however you want to put it.
Yeah.
You got to kind of figure out, okay, what am I going to pivot around this and keep going? And it's that growth owner in you that says, yeah, I got this. We can do it. Nothing's going to get in my way. Or what most people tend to do is just say, oh, yeah, you know what? My brain was telling me this was probably not going to work out, and now here's proof. So I'm just going to go off and do something safe that I'm not as happy. So it's great to hear that you're now living a life of purpose and, like you said, in line with your values and what's inside you. Because God, what an awful way to live. As for somebody that's doing that, isn't it a tragedy how many people are out there that that don't do that and don't kind of say, you know what, this is what I was meant to do, and kind of get to that point where they figure it out, and they just sort of do that 9 to 5 or work just to pay the bills, just as a means to an end, thinking one day there's that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Unfortunately,
Yeah, and that happened to me too. I was just plagued with self-doubt, just lacked that confidence to go for it and listen to that inner voice and do something about it and take action. And it's taken me this long, sort of evolving and changing and growing till finally I could find something that I really feel like this is a long-term sustainable effort, because what I'm trying to do, I think like you, is I'm trying to improve the quality of life of everyone around me, but now I'm just trying to reach at a different level. But that once I found my mission, which was help others have a higher quality of life, then finally I found my stride. It's hard with so many choices out there of things you can do. So between the self-doubt inside, and we both know how important mindset is, and then the obstacles on the outside, you can drift around for a while until you figure things out.
right. Well, that's exactly right. And so, yeah. Speaking of, let's talk a little bit about, so I'm reading in your bio, it says that, you work with people that are high achievers, but they want to leave, but are challenged by family members who have a mental illness. Can we talk a little bit more about that and how
Of course.
that affects these people and how huge of an issue that can be in people's lives?
So here's the thing, Will, is at least in Canada, I can't speak for the United States, but in Canada, our mental health system is under a lot of strain. The pandemic has increased the number of referrals, and we've got huge wait lists and things like that. Now, from being in the mental health system for over 7 years, I've noticed that the one group of people that really have a hard time being served are families. So I work with clinicians, and they're like, I can hardly work with this person an hour a week, or if I'm at a group home, like I'm working with them, but I'm really struggling. Whereas families have no clinical training, they often don't have any support, and at least in Canada, we're not allowed to directly help them. So I kind of got inspired by Elon Musk, who says that his role in life is to solve hard problems that matter. And I was thinking, okay, like I've learned how to do individual and group therapy, and I've leveled up there, and now I'm able to help mental health clinicians, but who really needs help? And it's family members, they're just cut adrift. Like they don't have anywhere to go. There's no resources. If you go into, say, a Barnes and Noble, there's some workbooks and things, or you might be able to access therapy, but you might not. And I'm really concerned about them. And I know that if you are a high achiever, or you've got a lot going on in your life and your family is important to you, that it can affect your performance. So that's why I'm trying to gamify an online course.
Yes. So, I mean, I love that. And what, can you tell us a little bit about, how are you gamifying this online course? Exactly. How are you going about that?
Sure. So you've got a rocket model with your 5 cores, right?
Yes.
I've got a pyramid model, and here's why. Pyramids are very stable at the base, and what happens is, what I would say with mental illness is the hardest challenge families are going to have, or people experiencing mental illness are going to have, is instability. Like, the research is very clear. I know you're a science and research guy, so am I. So there are 4 things I believe people need to do, either whether you're helping a family member with mental illness or you're experiencing a mental illness. So going to give you those 4. One is you have to learn emotion regulation skills, meaning your emotions go up and down like elevators all day long, like on a scale of 1 to 10. There are 6 basic emotions, and I try to help people with learning those skills. So what I like about a skills approach, Will, is it's not blaming the person. It's not saying there's something wrong with you. It's simply you didn't get the education to learn how to handle this. So one thing I do is I take a skills-based approach around emotion regulation. The second thing is that in the mental health system, there's a high emphasis on helping the person kind of get better, but we don't teach a lot of interpersonal skills. So a lot of people suffering from mental illness, or people caring for people with mental illnesses, it's like, I don't know how to create healthy boundaries. I don't know how to create a healthy relationship here. I'm not really sure how to do that. So I'm also gamifying that by putting that as a module and making that a high point of emphasis. Then the third thing is I know your bread and butter is goals. You review your goals. You look at your failure habits and your success habits, your neutral habits. Well, a lot of people don't know how to set goals well. They don't have any training or skills around it. That's why I think the work you're doing is great. So I'm also making it important that people know how to set realistic goals and how to achieve them, and to get those wins and get the momentum going. And then the fourth, sorry.
So let's pause. Sorry,
Sure.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I feel like if we get too far, then I'll forget. And
That's okay.
Address some of these as we go. Yeah, just kind of discussing the goals thing, and I liked your analogy you used earlier about levels and stuff. I kind of tend to look at things as we all have different levels in our life, right? And you're either leveling up, you're staying the same, you're leveling down. I tend to see it in 3 to 5 year spans, and then within those levels are the stages. And the way I like to look at it is that these levels, these 3 to 5 years, are your longer term goals. So you set a goal on, let's say, based on, and I actually have this exercise, it's called the Back to the Future list, where you actually you want to get your ultimate goals. Like, where do I ultimately want to end up in each of these?
Yeah.
And you go, okay, what's my next level in the next 3 to 5 years, 2 to 3, whatever it is, it varies, but around that time. And then you start setting mini goals, shorter term goals, which are the stages based on those, and you just stay super focused. You look at them every single day, You track your progress, you gamify it, you make it fun, you give yourself points, you give yourself rewards, which is what my app that's going to be coming out is going to help people do.
Great.
And to me, that's it. That's everything. And it's not rocket science, but we goals are not something really that's taught in school. I mean, some do, some don't, but I mean, it's not a major part of the curriculum.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to me, and part of what I'm trying to do to change things. One of my goals. And they teach you, all these different things, but when it comes to goals, it's like, okay, well, kind of figure it out on your own, and we all know they're good for us, but you got to trick your brain. You've got to have your own system that works for you to where you want to achieve them, and you just can't wait to get to that next level and feel that. And to me, that's why gamification is so important, because it gives people that extrinsic reward, external reward versus the internal, where it's like, okay, there's a carrot and I'm going to go get it no matter what. And then it activates those competitive juices in people and that play and that fun. And it's just so huge. And so I just wanted to pause a second on the importance of goals. And I'm so glad to hear that you're one of the soldiers out there that's pushing to help people to try to figure out how to form them and achieve them, because without them, I mean, there's no way I would be where I am. And everybody I've seen that's ever been successful has had some sort of a system with goals.
Well, they're basically the engine of your life. You're not going to have momentum if you don't have goals that are compounding and achieving over time. Like it's just not going to work for you. There's certain laws around setting goals, and if you don't know them or you keep breaking them, you're not going to get success. You're just going to keep spinning in what a researcher, Dr. Paul Watchell, calls just vicious circles. Like you're just going nowhere. It's very frustrating for people, and really, I like the skills approach, because then they are like, okay, I can just level up my skill. I can improve incrementally over time and get that success, because they know it's based in science and it's going to work.
Yep. And the science part is the big one. To me, everybody's got their why and reason why things resonate and connect with them. I think for most people, science is that thing. For me, it definitely is. There are some people I know that look at some science and say, oh, well, I don't believe that. And, just the way the world is set up right now, it's a little bit insane. Like somebody can come out and be like, no, that's just not true. And people believe that, when it's like, yeah, but the science, you know what science is? Science means that it's been tested, done, like people have looked at it. It's been triple checked, double checked versus some guy that just, woke up this morning and was like, I'm going to say this. It's insane to me that people, flock towards that. But science, to me, whenever I see a scientific study, and and in all fairness, some scientific studies aren't as strong as others. And
that's right.
You got to look at all the data and make sure, has it been done multiple times? How many people were used in the study? How over how long a period? But when I see a study that's done and there's a result and it's clear, and you can clearly see okay, there's a correlation here. Then that's when I go, okay, this is a principle. This is a universal principle you can hang your hat on. And this is what you want to build your goals around.
Yeah, so I wanted to give you a resource because I wasn't sure you've heard of this person or not, but Dr. Wendy Wood from the University of Southern California has a book called Good Habits, Bad Habits, and she actually did her dissertation on habits, and I thought that would be right up your alley. So Dr. Wood.
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
Bad habits. That's right up my alley. I'm surprised I haven't heard that.
No, but she did her doctorate on it, and she has some fascinating information. And so the fourth part of that pyramid, the base I was telling you about, is actually healthy habits. And I believe there's 3 levels to healthy habits. But I learned a lot from Dr. Wood, and I've created a presentation where I teach people cheat codes, like how to get into the habitual self and make it work for you instead of against you. I learned all that from Dr. Wood. It's a great book. I highly recommend it.
I just ordered it as we're speaking. The Beauty of Technology. I just ordered it on Amazon. It's on sale for anybody that's interested. I literally just paid $249 for it. So
oh, sweet.
$15 savings. So
great.
Buy it. Yep, I'm excited to read it. And you said you know her, or you're familiar with her?
Oh no, I just did research and I came across her, and what I did was I used her scientific principles in her dissertation to create my module in my online course around healthy habits. That I just try as much as possible to lean on research before I make a recommendation.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, that's the way to do it. Okay, so continue on.
Sure. So that's the base of the pyramid, which is, just to review quickly, is emotion regulation, boundaries, goals, and healthy habits. So then the next level, like level 2, of helping people, whether they're in families or they're struggling with mental illness themselves, is learning how to be functionally independent is one skill. And then the other skill is learning how to live harmoniously with others. So a lot of people who either are caring for people with mental illness or suffering from mental illness, what ends up happening is there's three types of boundaries, Will. There's rigid boundaries where you're just like, no, 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 you're not going to let people in, you're quite controlling. And then there's soft boundaries where you're like, you're a people pleaser, you let people kind of walk all over you. And then there's healthy boundaries, which is in the middle. And so what I've noticed in the mental health system, unfortunately, is people can get enmeshed in the mental health system for years and years. And I'm like, how are they going to level up? It's like they can't stand on their own 2 feet. So from the research from Dr. Nancy McWilliams, she pointed out that one of the major milestones of good mental health is being able to be independent. And I'm talking financially, like all your 5 cores, like all of them, right? So then the other side, as I said earlier, we don't put a lot of emphasis on living harmoniously with others. So when you have those meta skills, here's the advantage. I remember in one of your podcasts you shared that you've been going to counseling and you think counseling should be mandatory. And here's what I'm hoping is going to happen when people go into counseling. They're going to learn the skill of interdependence, meaning you can trust and like and care for others, but you don't become codependent and you're not in abusive relationships. In other words, you're able to walk that middle path, that balance that you're suggesting with your 5 cores. Yep. And what you're doing there is you're learning the skill of interdependence. So what's amazing about being in relationships is you get to share moments with people. What's amazing about being on your own and being comfortable in your own skin is you have that feeling of confidence and like you can be yourself and make your own choices. And what I find is a lot of people seem to drift one way and they become too hard or too rigid, or they drift the other way and they just are afraid of losing that other person or losing themselves. And I'm trying to teach people that middle path. That skill in research is called interdependence.
So I love that. I know I'm familiar with interdependence. Where was that first introduced? Was that 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Is that where that first came out? It was one of those early books.
From Stephen Covey, eh?
Yeah. I'm not positive that's where it's from. I want to say that's where it's from, but I remember reading that when I was like, that's when it sounds like you're familiar with my story. You did your research, so kudos to you. But so you probably know I had a tough time in college and was suicidal, and that's when I got self-help and just started reading, like devouring self-help books. And that was what I read. And I just remember that just locked into me, that interdependent concept where it's like you have your own thing, they have their thing, but then you have your thing together. And just in any relationship that I've ever had, I've used that. And it's been such a powerful tool because it's so easy for one person to get wrapped up in the other. And sometimes both people get wrapped up in each other.
Yep.
You don't have your own thing going on. And that's part of a healthy way. You got to have the balance, and you have to have that. You got to have your own friends. You got to have your own work. If you commingle everything, maybe for a little while it'll work, but from my experience, it's not the best way to go.
Exactly. If you're too far apart, you're just living parallel lives in the same house. And if you're too enmeshed and too close together, then you don't have your own sense of self. And it's not sustainable over time, I think.
Yep. That's it.
So then the top of the pyramid, the third level, when you really get to level 3, that's when you're able to contribute to your world. So you're contributing in some way. That's the top of the pyramid. Now you're giving back as part of your course. You're starting to say, what can I create? What can I express? What can I do? How can I help my community or my family? Or, what can I do online to help other people make their quality of life better? And so that's the top of the pyramid that I'm trying to show people these skills so they can build like a much better life than when they don't have the proper training or education.
Oh, I love it. So is this curriculum out? Are you finished? Or is it, what stage are you at?
Well, I'm just at the recording stage, and I hired an amazing team down in the States to help me make the course as good as possible. So we're just going to upload it onto Thinkific in about a month. But right now what I'm doing is I'm teaching it live and helping people out.
And where are you doing that? Like on Coursera, or where do you teach it live?
I'm
You
just,
mean like in person, like actual, not through.
yeah, in person. So
Nice.
I was just working with someone yesterday from Indiana, and like they were just being tormented. The parents were just being tormented by their daughter. I think she it's pretty clear she has some mental health struggles, and when they could just light up and they could see what changes they could make based off of research, they were just so excited. So what I'm doing is I'm meeting with people in Google Meets and then trying to give them the skills and the tools and the handouts that I've created while I'm waiting for the course to go up on Thinkific.
Wow, I love it, man. And you're doing it. Yeah, what is it called? Thinkific?
Yeah, Thinkific is a learning management system, an LMS. There's lots Kajabi, and there's all kinds. I'm going to eventually get it there, but I just have to get my team down in the States to upload it and get it into the learning system, so people can just purchase it. But in the meantime, I'm offering it live.
Yeah, well, I'm asking all these questions because I'm in a similar stage you are with my curriculum, and I'm kind of just talking on how they're doing.
And I have something for you. Have you heard of Marissa Murgatroyd? Do you know her?
No.
Oh, well, Marissa Murgatroyd has a website called liveyourmessage.com, and what she does is she gamifies online courses. This is her specialty. She's going from 7 figures to 8 figures. And what she does is she teaches online course creators to become superheroes in their own living room. I thought, again, this would be something that would really interest you. So please check her out.
I will. I just wrote it down. I'm going to check her out. Love it. Okay. And what is so speaking of levels and 3 to 5 years, 2 to 3 years, whatever, what are your goals coming up here? Like, where do you want to see your next level be and beyond?
Right. So I'm just at the beginning of creating an online presence and saying I'm going to offer this online course. And I want to reach more people. Like, I've been in the fortunate position at the hospital to help, several thousand people, but I'm looking for, I just see the amount of suffering out there, Will, and I'm like, it's just not enough. I feel like it's just like a little thimble compared to the amount of suffering going on out there. I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And there's people like Seth Godin saying, like, be generous, create art, like, go get it. And I'm like, all right, it's time to do that. So that I want to launch an online course and give it everything I've got. So I was able to break down all my skills and habits and put them in one package instead of like spreading it out or whatever, like just give them my A game. I want to then improve upon it and make it better. And over the next 3 years, I would love for that to take off and to be able to help and have an impact on an even larger level. That would be fantastic.
So is this going to be a course where it's a combination of like, there's going to be videos of you speaking and writing and stuff, but you're not actually having to be involved, correct? It's an
that would be downstream. What I really want is for everyone who comes in to be able to access group coaching or one-on-one coaching at first, really get it down and make sure everything's good and solid. Yeah. And then, if people say, okay, maybe there's lots of orders or what have you, then maybe I can't do that for every single person. So I'll have to figure out a way to step back over time. But what I really want is for people to have a very positive experience. So I want to roll up my sleeves and work with people. And then over time, I guess if it goes larger, then I'll have to figure out how to level up. I don't know how to do that yet, Will. So that's something I'm going to have to grow and learn.
Love it. Well, let's definitely keep in touch. I love what you're doing, and I love the stage that you're at. It's, like I said, I've been kind of gathering all this similarly to you information for years and years, and I'm just like ready to explode with it, and I'm just trying to roll it out in the right way. I've got my app, which is something that's been in the making for 20 years, but they didn't have apps back then. But it started as a way to essentially help you improve your life and your happiness through your habits, basically. And now technology and science have finally caught up, so I'm super excited to roll that out. And then I've got a book that I've also been writing for 20 years on the sideline. And I'm get back to so my top priorities are my app and my curriculum to get rolled out. Super psyched about those. And then
good.
But like you, it's like I just want to help more people, more. I wanted to,
yes,
because I know what I'm doing in my soul, in the deep trenches of my being. I know that what I have to say and the thing, what I've learned is going to help other people. It's not what I have to say. It's me basically taking my knowledge of what I've learned and from others, and you know, basically putting it into a format that's as simple and easy, because we're living in this generation right now where it's very difficult to get people to take action. You know, they can just click a button and they can get anything they want in the world, including themselves, delivered in a car somewhere, or chips delivered in 20 minutes. So, you know, discipline is going down, and so you got to really, that's the this whole gamification stuff comes from. It's just tricking people's brains, making them want to feel like they want to level up, and when they do on screen and through these different methods, then they do in real life as well, which sounds like what you're doing. So kudos. I'm happy.
Yeah. I've got a couple of things for you if you want. One is I have this way of creating positive momentum. I know you're into habit stacking, and I created something called the Advanced Guide to Daily Wins. I created a quick little infographic. Would you like to hear a couple of points? Or?
Absolutely, I would love to.
All right, so if you're looking to level up and you're doing well and you're having success, the first thing I say around getting advanced daily wins and getting that momentum going is to anchor your time slot. So if you're doing something with the gym or you're cooking or whatever, lock it into your schedule. You know, and I know if people don't put it in their schedule, they don't take action. So first thing is anchoring. Second is to bundle your wins. So let's say you're doing some mindfulness and you're doing some stretching. By the way, yogabody.com is incredible if anyone's out there for stretching. And let's say you're also doing a workout on Peloton. So bundling them would look like, you know, getting up early, doing your meditation, doing your workout, and then doing your stretching. You're creating a bundle in the morning. Instead of just doing one habit, try to string them together.
Yeah, I call those yes, but and then I guess several bundles together would be a routine. Like I have my morning routine, my afternoon routine, and my evening routine, which are like religions to me. And that's exactly what you said is exactly right. They're all contrived by, like, if I were to write every habit I have and try to track it every day, it'd be impossible. So instead I say, like, okay, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, did I do my morning routine? And I know what my morning routine is, right? But to start out slow, you start with one little habit. Then I like what you're saying. You kind of can go to bundling. It's like, okay, what's my bathroom routine? My bathroom routine, which is part of my morning routine. Okay,
right.
I'm going to shower. I'm going to stretch. I'm going to say my mantra. I'm going to floss. You know, and then it's like, boom. Okay, got that piece. I like that.
Okay. And then the third thing is to learn how to lengthen your wins. Let's say you're someone who wants to write a book and you're doing it like 30 minutes a day. Well, another stretch play, you know, it's ABG, is to lengthen it. So now can you do it for 45 minutes a day, or can you do it for an hour a day? So another technique to get stronger habits is to lengthen it. The fourth thing to do is to initiate your own monthly challenges. So maybe you want to do a squat challenge or a push-up challenge as something extra, or you want to learn one new healthy recipe a week for 4 weeks. You can level up by initiating your own monthly challenges.
Ooh, I like that. And do you have any more insights into how people can do that?
Well, I would say...
Is it just write it down on a piece of paper? Is it keep track on a computer?
Well, yeah, okay, I see what you mean. So the thing here is you want to be very visible. You're trying to reduce friction, right? So is it an alert in your phone? Do you need to put a Post-it on your like above your stove to say, like, you've committed to 4 challenges? Like, what do you need to do to remind yourself? Because a lot of people forget, they get really busy. So create some kind of system. Now, one system I use when I'm doing monthly challenges is I use the research actually from Bateman, Soth, and Mumby around expectation videos. One of the things I learned to strengthen my ability to stay with healthy habits is first thing in the morning, for like no more than 3 minutes, I visualize my top 3 wins in the day. I visualize them because your habitual self wants reps. Reps are what makes something lock in. And so visualizing, hey, I committed to that monthly challenge. I'm going to do a new recipe on Monday, like today's Monday. And then the other thing is converting it into, I'm really finding a lot of success with a daily action plan. I'm not calling it a to-do list. I'm calling it like, this is the thing I want to do. So I would mark it on there so I don't forget. So I'm giving myself a bunch of systems with checks and balances to make sure things don't get lost.
Right. I have a similar, mine's kind of similar. So I have every single morning come up with an acronym. I call it CORE. It stands for commit, obstacles, and rewards. And when I sit down and I've had my coffee and I've gone through and cleared out my inbox, I sit and I kind of do like a little mini meditation and breathe. My meditation is more breathing. Everybody's different.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
do, you know, although I'm trying to stretch it out to get more to that stage. I'm not there yet, but and then I just say, okay, what's my top commitment? Maybe it's one or two today. Like, what do I want to get done by the end of the day, no matter what? And this is based on, you know, my midterm goals and my long-term goals, as we were talking about levels. My ultimate goal to have all.
Yeah.
And then I actually, when I get to my computer, and I do that in my head. So, and then I say, so that's my commitment. What is my commitment today? Then what are the obstacles that can get in the way? Okay, like what could potentially derail me? And then I look at certain things like my ADHD and how I tend to create lists, and I start going into emails, and before I know it, it's like 2 hours, and I haven't been staying on task, right? So I prepare myself so when they come up, I'm aware of them. And then the reward, I sometimes I even give myself reward. I'll say, okay, if I get this done by today, I'm going to, you know, do this tomorrow, or I'll take off, you know, a little bit early, and I'll go hit some golf balls, whatever it is, just to kind of just to get that extrinsic reward, like we were talking about. But a lot of times it's just that feeling of me saying, okay, how am I going to feel if I'm able to actually follow through with that? Like if I make that commitment and I get around those obstacles, how's that going to feel? And I picture that feeling, and it's unbelievable how powerful that works.
Oh yeah, that, like Tony Robbins has been talking about that true embodiment as you're visualizing keeps you focused and keeps your energy up. That sounds great.
Yeah, love it. So very similar kind of to your strategy as well. I would love to. Yeah, it sounds like we've actually got a lot more to talk about some of this course stuff and how you're going about it. I'd love to talk offline. So I'll send you after.
Okay.
We'll do like a quick chat if you're available. But
sure.
Let's wrap this up for our viewers in terms of, this has been extreme. I don't want to give them too much because there's been a lot of useful knowledge here. In the theme of gamification and habits, you know, I asked all my guests this, and a lot of times they're stumped. Seems like you'd be a pretty good one to ask. What would you say is your top habit, that success habit that you've been able to form in your life, you know, throughout your various journeys and different levels that you have now? And is there a way that you were able to, how did you gamify it to build it, right? Or are continuing to gamify it?
I'm going to answer that by answering a question you commonly ask, which is, what's your top failure habit? Then you'll see why my success habit is this one. Okay?
Yes, love it. Yes.
Okay, great. So my top failure habit was chronic avoidance. All through my childhood and adolescence, I was a chronic gamer. I read fantasy, science fiction, I listened to music, go out with friends. Basically, I just wasn't willing to do the work. I couldn't get it going. And why that was, Will, is I just found video games more interesting than life. I'm like, why is it like this? Why is school so boring and this game is so amazing? Like, what is going on, right? Like, it really frustrated me. So what I realized as I was trying to level up in my life is, how do I make my life as interesting as a video game? Like, that is tricky work. Like, I've just been like stuck. And then I hit this realization, this is my success habit, got to choose a bigger mission. I just wasn't feeling like anything was going on. Like, that's why algebra didn't mean anything to me. It's like, there's no mission here. But in a game, there is a mission, you know? And so the top habit I have now is to find a bigger mission and then turn it into a daily action plan. And that has really turned things around for me.
I love that. Right. And it ties back to the ABG, always be growing. If you don't have a big goal that you're working towards, and as we said earlier, that ties to that, you know, those values in you, and something that you're like, yes, I know that this is something that I'm meant to do. And within every fiber in my being, I just can't wait to just get to that next level to do it. And you set a goal and you just keep going. And then if you hit it, what do? You sure as hell don't stop. You don't rest on your laurels.
Nope.
We all know how that ends. I mean, you look at a good way to, you know, look at that is The Lottery Ruined My Life, that show. Rock stars, you know, any of these shows, you ever watch a documentary on rock bands, I mean, their goal is just to be famous, right? Then they become famous, and then look what happens, right? To most of
They don't have that solid base underneath that you and I are trying to share. They don't have it. They just rocket to success, but they don't have the stability underneath, and that's when they crash.
I love it. Well, I'm going to DM you. Micheal, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you? And I know you're still working on your course, but in the meantime, how can people get in touch with you?
Sure. So, of course, michealbruinix.com, and that's MichealBruinix.com. And so the other thing is for any therapists or counselors out there, I've created 2 ebooks I'm just giving away on LinkedIn. You can just find me on Micheal Bruinix at LinkedIn. There's some amazing clinicians I really respect, and I just created an ebook that I just compressed a whole bunch of data, and it's sitting there for anyone who is interested in that.
Nice.
And yeah, other than that, just reach out to me. You can Micheal at michealbruinix.com. I'm happy to follow up with any questions that you have. I'd be in any way I can help. Please let me know.
Love it, man. All right, Micheal. Well, thanks so much. This has been a pleasure. I'll DM you in a moment, and if you have a minute, I'd like to chat with you on the phone.
Sure.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in, and I know this is going to be on our podcast as well. So if you have any questions for Micheal, you know where to find him, and if you want to follow ups with me on our conversations and how things went, feel free to reach out to me as well. All right, Micheal. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. Take care.
That's it for the 5 Core Life. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button on this video and pound that subscribe button so you get notified when new episodes drop. Also, please fill out the free 5 Core Life Evaluator quiz. It's a great way to get a baseline of where you are in the 5 cores and which of the 5 cores you need support. In addition, you'll get some actionable advice that you can apply and start improving your life in the areas that you need it most. That's it for today's episode of the 5 Core Life Podcast. Have a wonderful day.
Get moving. Gain momentum. Join the movement. Join Emmett by going to moremomentum.com to take a free life evaluator quiz on where you currently stand in each of your 5 cores.